We're good to go? Okay. Hello, hello. Um, I'm Sarah and MJ. Good. It's nice to see you guys this morning, ladies this morning. My name is Julie. Just some, housekeeping. If you have a question, unmute, ask the question. Sarah, if you'd like to know, hey, how could I do this pose in a chair? Unmute, ask the question, and I will answer it for you. That's a great thing about doing yoga on Zoom like this to a few people is I can kind of move things around to make it more comfortable for you. And using Karen's laptop, I can actually see you, which helps me a little bit. I don't see you great, but I can at least, see where you're at a little bit. Please don't do anything that hurts or anything that your healthcare professionals have told you not to do, okay? Always move at your own pace, always rest when you need to, and do what your body, what feels good to your body. Yoga is how your body interprets the practice, the asana, not how perfect it looks or anything else. It's how it feels in your body. So modify it, use your blocks, use your chair, use whatever you need to use, okay? A little bit of movement goes a long way. Somebody else said that, but I'm stealing it. A little bit of movement goes a long way, and a little bit of yoga goes a long way as well. So a lot of people come to yoga for flexibility. So that's what I want to talk about for a moment before we start moving. We're flexible as babies, and we don't have all the tension and rigidity and stiffness that we have as we get older and become adults. And we do have the potential to return back to being a little bit more pliable. We need to develop habits to help structure our lives and our bodies and our minds so that we function better. We will function better if we are flexible in body and in mind, right? Being rigid, and whether that means, clinging to fears and beliefs and, all that kind of stuff mentally can lead to, issues and diseases. When we're inflexible, it's kind of like we're in a fight with our own bodies, right? It kind of feels like you're fighting with your own body when you're, so tense and rigid and inflexible. Trees sway and adapt to most weather conditions, and you can train your mind and your body to do the same, right? So let's do that. Flexibility or flowing with changes is a skill. And in yoga, it's called vinyasa, to place in a special way. When you go from one position to another, be mindful in between those positions. Take your time, right? Move slowly and carefully. Use props as needed. Adapt your yoga movements today to your current state of wellness. Keep your body safe. Keep warm. When you do your practice, make sure that you're warm enough. Let your body find its own rhythm and its own truth for each and every posture. Let the bending or twisting serve as kind of a lotion or a salve for your joints and the systems of your body, okay? So this is a skill. So flexibility is a skill. It takes strength. You have to root down in order to rise up. So you need stability in order to create flexibility, okay? So we will start seated. And again, you do have the option of using a chair. You want to use a chair, you go right ahead. It's quite okay. Use a chair. Because we're going to start seated, and maybe more comfortable for you to be in a chair, and that's fine. If you are sitting on the floor or up on a cushion, the issue comes here when people do this. You can see my back rounding. I'm sitting way up on my blanket, my back is rounding. Now, if I scooch a little more towards the edge of the blanket, and it's okay if my legs are out, they don't have to be cross-legged, then I can take the front body or where my pubic bone is and roll it downward. And in doing that, I bring a little bit more neutral curvature to my spine, whether I have long legs with my knees bent, or whether I have like cross legs, or what they call Indian sit, right? Cross-legged style. But again, we don't want to round. We want to kind of move the flesh of our buttocks straight back. And I do this in a chair. If I go into a restaurant, I back in like this. People that are with me will go beep, beep, beep. It helps me sit correctly and makes my lower back feel better. So move the flesh out. So you can sit up nice and straight, and you'll have a little neutral curve. So more toward the front edge of your cushion. Or if you're seated in a chair, sit your sit bones back, move your flesh back so you have a neutral spine. Fingertips here, potted palm position. Let's just take some breaths. Think of your spine as the center line and breathe up and down the center line. If you can breathe through your nostrils, it'll help you focus a little bit more. If you can't, that's okay. Imagine the breath moving up in 3 parts, right? Starting at the basin, right, at the pelvis, and then moving to the upper belly, and then moving to the heart center, and then flowing back out through the ground. So inhaling the breath, pelvis, belly, heart, exhaling the breath, flowing it down. And keep a tall spine as you do this. And if you want, you can rest your hands on your knees if you'd rather that than on the floor. Just imagine the breath, 3 parts in, and then let's do 3 parts out. So inhale, pelvis, belly, chest. Exhale down the same way, chest, belly, pelvis. Inhale, 3 parts. Exhale, 3 parts. So gentle pressing down against whatever you're sitting on with your sit bones. And a reach up through the tops of your ears, which helps keep your chin parallel, kind of lengthens you out through the upper spine. Helps you from rolling the shoulders forward and hunching. Breathing up that center line, up the spine, pelvis, belly, chest, belly, pelvis. Just do a few more like this. And you go at whatever speed works for you. Please note that on days when you're feeling a lot of anxiety or a little jangly, your nerves are, maybe you're experiencing more stress, extend the exhale longer than the inhale when you practice your breathing. It'll help activate your parasympathetic nervous system and begin to calm you down a little bit. It's a wonderful tool that we can all use during stressful times, during times of anxiety. If you're nervous about something, whatever the situation is, angry, even sad, you definitely use that to kind of even everything out, create a little bit more equilibrium. Notice if your shoulders becoming a little tense, let them soften away from your ears. Keep breathing in your 3 parts up and 3 parts out. Notice how when you breathe in, the belly opens and the lungs widen as the chest opens. And as you exhale, the rib cage moves in, the belly draws in. And now just breathe naturally, normally. You don't have to count, do anything special. It's whatever works. Take a moment to focus on your intention for practice today. It could be part of a bigger intention that you have for the week or weekend or month. But whatever the intention is, great or small, it's yours. Just focus on it gently, holding it in your heart without squeezing it too tight or letting it go. And go ahead and open your eyes. Awesome. So we're going to do a little bit of movement here. Fingertips here at potted palm. And again, you need to sit up tall. If you're doing this in a chair, that's fine, or on the floor. So this is actually my right hand. You may see it as my left. So I'm going to call it my left hand. So fingertips down, inhale, right palm up, and slightly over. Now, does this have to be big for you? No. Can the elbow be bent? Sure. The point is to open this area up. Breathing. Use wherever you need to put this hand to feel comfortable. You don't have to glue your hips down. And then inhaling and exhaling to the other side. You may notice that there's your body's like, I don't know about this. It's okay. You can engage your abdominals and just notice. We move slowly. The way that I teach yoga, I move very slowly. And I do this so that you can notice each and every little thing. How does that exhale help you? We don't have to press our hips into the ground or the seat of the chair, but they stay fairly rooted. And they may move and rock a little bit, and that's okay. Inhale and exhale. Oh. Okay, fingertips down. Let's bring our hands now to what we call cactus position or potted. They call it cactus or goalpost. So basically the shoulders are relaxed away from the ears. The elbows are kind of heavy here. I'm going to ask you to squeeze back a little bit. So squeeze the elbows back behind you. This could be very big or very small. Know what happens to your head and neck. We don't want them to jut forward when we squeeze our elbows back, okay? So keep the back of the head moving back, and then inhale here, and exhale, bring them together. Feel the shoulder blades widen a little bit off of your back. Beautiful. Inhale, open, pressing the elbows in the back of the hands, and exhale. Oh, it's great for the chest and the back. You can probably feel that. So you squeeze the shoulder blades. What we don't want to do in movements like this, when we're really, thinking about the front of the chest and the upper back, we don't want to squeeze the top of the shoulders up near the ears. We want to keep our head neutral so we can turn our head if need be. We don't want to create tension in the neck or the jaw. And then once again, inhale, open, press the back of the hands back, and exhale. Bring the elbows together. Great job. And release. Adding in a little twisting. So we think of our shoulders like this. If this is my back body, when I turn this way, one shoulder blade goes back, one goes forward. That's how that works. So let's think about that with our twisting. You can use cactus position, or you can bring the arms overhead. It depends what's comfortable for you. So inhale up, exhale, twist to your right. Again, one shoulder blade is moving back, one is moving forward. The hands can relax down wherever they belong, reaching up through the tops of the ears, chin parallel to the ground. And back to center, inhaling, whether your arms are up or in cactus position, and exhale to the other side. Again, think about those shoulder blades, one pressing back while one presses forward. And let's do this a few more times. Keeping up nice and tall, up through that center line, up through the spine. Notice as you twist, the abdominals engage on that exhale when you twist. That's exactly what they're supposed to do. This is a great way to do a little massage. It's what they call squeezing and soaking action for the organs, so they can get rid of some of the older lymph or older liquids and kind of refresh. It's a wonderful thing. Again, don't do anything that feels uncomfortable, and you don't have to do a lot of these, and you don't have to do them quickly. Inhale and exhale, and inhale and exhale, and back to the center position. If this is comfortable for you, if you're sitting cross-legged, think of your center line, so your spine sitting in this basin of your pelvis, and make it move a little bit. It doesn't have to be big. You're just moving that spine. Like, you know what a mortar and a pestle is? When you want to crush something, you have the mortar and the pestle. So think of your pelvis as the bowl, and think of the spine as kind of we're moving around there. And you can make these bigger if you're like, oh, I feel like moving a little bit more today. Then go right ahead and do that, right? It's your yoga practice. And then go in the other direction. It can give you an idea of how your hips are feeling today. And again, this can be very small. It does not have to be big. Getting us ready for cat-cow. So there are 6 positions of the spine that we should do in each and every yoga practice, okay? 6 different movements. And we've already done 4 of them. The side bending, right, left, and the twisting, right, left. So next we're gonna do the extension and flexion of the spine. So let's come to all 4s on our mat, okay? Since I have this beautiful wide view, which I think is great. I'm so used to having a narrow view at home. I'm gonna turn my mat this way so you guys can see me from this side, which I think is really cool that I'm able to do that. So find your all 4s position. If this is hard on your knees, please, you can pad your knees. What some people will do is they'll take the mat and fold it up and pull it in and then put their knees there, right? Just make sure you do it from more the middle of the mat so you can still place your hands on the mat. Or you can put a blanket or whatever you have underneath your knees. Wrists are usually an issue on all 4s as well, because this is called wrist extension. So what we don't want is to squeeze our wrists in way, way close to our knees. We want to move the line of the wrist, the crease of the wrist, forward a bit so it lines up with the front edge of your shoulder. Your hands are shoulders width apart, your knees hips width apart underneath your hip joints. Spread the fingers a bit here. And think about a starfish on the side of an aquarium. Kind of really press down through the pads of the fingers, the base of the index finger and thumb, so the very center of your palm is lifted just a bit. This will help you engage a little bit more through the bigger muscles and take some of the pressure off of the small wrists. the inner elbow creases should be looking at each other. This will also help you use a little bit more back strength, okay? Inhale, lift the tailbone and lift the sternum. So you feel like the shoulders are rolling back here, and yes, they are. The bottom tips of the shoulder blades roll back. And I think for a lot of people, this is challenging at the upper part of the body, but easier at the lower part of the body. So, where do you fit in here? This is going to open up the front of the chest and shoulders. On the next inhalation, press into the pads of your fingers and lift the belly button up towards the ceiling. This is going to round the spine. Your tailbone is going to draw down between your thighs, and then you can relax your head. A lot of people find that this is easier at the upper part of their body, a little more challenging at the lower spine. And when I'm in cat pose like this, I wiggle my hips a little bit because it feels good on my lower back. So if you want to add any small movements that your body is craving, go ahead and do that. And then we can move back and forth between the two, really thinking about the pads of those fingers, base the index finger and thumb. Inhale as you lift the heart, lift the tailbone. And if you want, you can exhale or inhale to the next pose, your cat pose. Go back and forth between these. Inhaling and exhaling. Nice and easy. Maybe you find one is more comfortable than the other, and that's okay. Definitely okay. And you don't have to inhale on one and exhale on the other. Remember, I mentioned that word vinyasa that means to place in a special way. So notice what it feels like to slowly move from the one position into the other, and from the other into the one. You start. 1, 2, and then come back to the all fours position. So as we get ready to sit back into extended child's pose, this does a couple things. It opens up our hips a little bit more and takes the pressure off our hands. So lift the tailbone and reach your tuchus back. Now, you may have some issues with knee flexion. I do, okay? So for some folks that have a lot of issues with knee flexion, can you put a blanket across the top part of your calves so you sit your tuchus back? And yes, you can, okay? So many options here that you can use. Sitting the hips back. Some people will tuck their toes under. They don't sit back as far, and that's their comfort zone for them, and it stretches the bottom of the feet. So that's a great thing to do. You just only for a few moments, or you can place the tops of the feet down. You can also widen the knees a little further apart. Come down into more of a child's pose, and I don't care where your hips are, wherever's comfortable for you. And then bring the forearms down so we can rest the wrist, turn the palms up towards the sky. Nice. So it doesn't matter how far back you're sitting with your hips, okay? But with your elbows and forearms on the ground and your palms facing upward, take an inhale here. As you exhale, tap the back of your right shoulder with your right hand and sit the hips back. Beautiful. And release. Inhale here. Exhale, tap the back of the left shoulder with the left hand. Feel the hips want to release back. Do you feel that? I mean, it kind of almost happens naturally, even if it's a little bit. And release. So let's try that again. Head is relaxed. Inhale, lift the right palm. Exhale, place it against the back of the right shoulder. Maybe you feel your hips relax a little bit more. And then place it back down. And then inhale, lift the left hand, left palm in the back of the left shoulder, and exhale. Wow. And just do that a few more times on each side. Allowing that palm to rest wherever it rests. Maybe it's just your fingertips on your shoulder. It's okay. And just notice if that creates any relaxation response in the lower spine as we open up our triceps a little bit. Just let the head relax. If your head hanging or you have some issues with your neck, can you place a block and rest your forehead on it during posture like this? Sure you can. Or a small towel if you have one. Always have what you need nearby. Doing this yoga practice to care for your body, to show your body compassion, is a wonderful thing that you are doing. Now, if you'd like, you can place both hands on the back of the shoulders and see how that feels. That may encourage you to sit back even further. You may even be able to bring your forehead to the mat, but you don't have to. You just do what feels good to you today. My forehead doesn't reach the mat today, and that's okay. And release. Wonderful job. So we're going to come back up to the all fours position. So we're going to bring those hips up, inhaling and exhaling. Let's do a little balance. So we talk about flexibility a lot, and what we just did was a great way to build some flexibility in the hips and in the back of the arms. So now we want to build a little bit of balance and strength, because it really is important to have a good balance, flexibility and strength, okay? And that's what this pose is. So wrists slightly forward of the shoulders, fingers spread. Again, you want to kind of hug with the pads of the fingers, the base of the index finger and thumb. Now what I'm going to ask you to do is think about the whole front of your waist and lift it all up in one piece in towards your spine. So it's like you're lifting up the whole front of the body right up into the spine. Then when you're ready, inhale, reach the right arm out. It can be at shoulder height or lower. Breathe. And then inhale, holding. Exhale, extend the left leg out. Now you can keep the left toes on the floor as you lengthen the left leg, or you can lift the left leg off the floor to create more of a balance challenge. Okay, keep lifting the front waist up into the spine. Keep lifting up with those abdominals, right? Push away from the earth with what's touching the earth. Inhale here, and exhale, release them down. Take a moment. There's another side. When we're ready, inhale, lifting the left arm. It doesn't have to go up really high, but no higher than your shoulder, okay? Inhale here. Exhale, extend out the right leg. Now you can keep the toes tucked under, or you can lift the right heel off the floor. We want a nice long body. We don't want anything sagging to gravity. So push away from the earth with what's touching the earth. Lift the abdominals up in toward the inside of the spine, and breathe, and breathe. Inhale here, and exhale, relax. Great job. Love this. If this is okay for you, do it one more time on each side. If you'd rather sit back in child's pose again to rest, you can do that as well. So it's your choice. And if you like, don't use the legs, just use the arms, and notice how much work it is for your waist. So if I inhale and lift the right arm and don't use the leg, wow, there's a lot going on. I'm hugging my rib cage, right and left sides towards each other, lifting the abdominals up. And if I lift my arm a little higher, it's even more work for my abdominals. So I don't even need to use my leg. So whether you extend the opposite leg or not, it's up to you, but you don't have to, just use the arms. And then the other side. And inhale, lifting the left arm now. And again, try not to jam all the weight into the heel of my palm of my hand, right? I want to press into the pads of the fingers, the base of the index finger and thumb. And then if I want to add the right leg lift, I can do that, but I don't have to. And then release, great. Then we're going to move back into child's pose. You can widen your knees or not. Tops of the feet down or tucked under. Lift the tailbone and sit yourself back. Come on down at your forearms and elbows. Traditionally, Balasana or child's pose, it uses a rounding of the spine. So think about that for a minute as you sit back. Can you pull your belly button up to round the spine? Can you nestle all your organs in the low belly kind of up and inside that pelvis? The spine will round a bit here. The head will come down and you can stack your fist, put your forehead there. So many options here. But finding rest in child's pose is a great place to be. It's a forward bend, so it's a cooling posture. They're hugging in gently. Some folks can put their head on a block or the mat and bring their hands down by their sides. But the key to Balasana is to round the spine just a bit. And then walking the hands forward. So we are in child's pose, Balasana, with our arms extended. Now, if this gets really challenging for your shoulders, you can put your forearms on the ground, but it's completely up to you. Now I'm going to stay up on my fingertips, lifting up through the pits of my armpits a little bit, and I'm keeping my head between my upper arms. Just walk the fingertips off the right side of the mat. That way you're going to feel more of a stretch on the left side of your body from hip to armpit. You can even bring the right elbow and forearm down and slide that forearm underneath your head. So you can rest in this stretch, or you can keep both arms reaching out. It's completely up to you, or the forearms down. It's your practice, but really feel what's stretching there. I love to do this one. I like to get more length, more flexibility on the sides of the waist around the rib cage so that I can have an easier breath. Inhale, walk to the center. Exhale, over to the left corner. Oh, very nice. Getting like a lot of length here right now through the other side from the right hip to the right armpit. Try not to squeeze up into your ears. It's okay. You don't have to create tension, too much needed tension in one area of the body in order to stretch the other. there are opposing muscle groups. While one strengthens, the other stretches. But the head and neck here, they're not involved. So we want to make sure that we don't create tension there. Whether you rest in this posture by bringing the left forearm down and placing your forehead on your forearm, or you keep the elbows lifted, it's completely up to you. Feel that nice stretch from the hip. And then gently walk the hands back. Let's come back up into the all fours position. Great job. Beautiful. Beautiful. So you're starting to warm up. And there are a few strengthening postures. Like I said, in order to have flexibility, you need to have strength. So they do go hand in hand. Flexibility without strength is just collapse. So we want to incur some strength here. So we're going to do a little bit of plank and flow, which you can do one, or you can do none, or you can do it a couple times, really up to you. So I'm going to sit the hips back, and I'm going to move my knees back down my mat. I'm going to sit my hips back like for child's pose, extend with my arms out, spreading the fingers, thinking about pressing down to the pads and the base of the index finger and thumb. And then as I inhale, I'm going to slide the sides of my waist forward. It's just like a knee down plank pose. My shirt is hanging down, but my belly is not. I'm hugging the right and left sides of my rib cage towards each other. I have my toes tucked under for stability, hugging the rib cage, one side into the other, the belly is strong. On the next exhalation, I'm going to bend the elbows and lower my torso down. It can be a plop or a slow lower. It depends on what works for you. Walk the feet a little further apart and the thighs a little further apart. With the tops of your feet down, the heels will roll out to the right and left a bit. And then slide the forearms forward for a Sphinx pose. This is a back bend. This is probably one of the gentlest back bends. Again, widen your legs apart, your thighs apart to whatever feels good for your lower back, okay? So the heels turn out a little bit. We have the forearms down, elbows are approximately underneath the shoulders, forearms down, so find the right width for you. We don't want to collapse down so the upper back kind of sinks into the floor. We want to push with the forearms a bit. Imagine now with a relaxed lower body, so just let the hips be heavy. Imagine you're going to drag your elbows back towards your heels. Notice what happens in the spine. This is a back bend. In a back bend, all the muscles along the spine engage, okay? So this is huge. This is a lot of strength in the back is needed. We tend to have that hunched over posture, especially if we sit a lot. So back bends are really important. I've had yoga teachers tell me that a back bend a day, even if it's a small one, is extraordinarily beneficial for everybody. So even if you have an injury or an issue, it's a little teeny back bend that your doctor says is okay, even that's a good thing to do. And then we're going to release the chest back down, widen the elbows, place the hands underneath the shoulders, and tuck our elbows in and reach them back towards our feet. Tuck your toes under. On an exhalation, you're going to pull that belly in and puff your upper body with the floor. Inhale, exhale, puff, push up back to the all fours position and back to extended child's pose. So that's what we did. We did extended child's pose to knee down plank. Then we came down onto our chest and we did Sphinx pose. So we can try that again and go at your own pace, please. Inhaling forward when you're ready, hugging in. You want the rib cage, the abdominals to hug in and up towards the spine. You want the creases of the front of the hips not to sag down, but rather lift up a bit. And then on an exhale, bend the elbows and lower. Widen your legs a bit if you need to. Now you have the option of the Sphinx pose, elbows underneath the shoulders, or if you like, keep the hands under the shoulders, elbows tucked in and pointing towards your feet so the neck is long, and just widen the front of the shoulder joints and lift the chest without pushing against the floor with the hand. So instead of bringing the forearms out front for Sphinx, you might want to do a baby cobra, but you don't have to do the Sphinx pose. I prefer Sphinx most of the time, but this is a nice way to try because you feel it's a little bit more strength needed in the back body. So if you're doing cobra pose or baby cobra pose, place the tops of the feet against the floor and make the thigh bones heavily press down. That'll help you lift up a little bit more, okay? No strain in the neck, you should constrain your head. Inhale here, exhale lower. Now we're going to tuck those toes under to get ready to press back to extended child's pose. Elbows in tight, inhale, let you exhale, push and press back. Yay! Now I'm going to give you an option. You can do that again, or you can just rest in child's pose, okay? So you choose, whatever works for you. You can do it faster if you enjoy doing that. You can do it nice and slow, or just go to the part you like. Like maybe you just want to come down and do some Sphinx. That's fine too. Inhaling, nice strong abdominals. Exhaling to lower. Inhale, I'm going to do Sphinx because I really like Sphinx. Whee! Awesome. Let's let my hips relax. We tend to want to squeeze our gluteus sometimes, and you really don't need to do that in back bends. It's more about pressing the thigh bones down. And then, when you're ready, you can come back to the all fours position. Inhale and exhale, like up. Great job. Great job, great job. So what we want to work on here is lunges, okay? Lunges are asymmetrical hip openers, and I'm not saying you have to do anything really difficult or anything really challenging for your body, okay? But the alignment for lunges is really important to keep everything safe. Oh,
she was waiting in the waiting room.
Oh, hi, Joanne. So pull the belly button up and in, inhale and exhale, and step the right foot forward to your right thumb. Woo, that's a toughie. Remember I mentioned before about having blocks? This would be the time that you would want to have something by your hand. And even if you don't use blocks, right, or even if you don't need blocks, it's still fun to use them because it really helps you lengthen the spine, which feels good in a lunge. So you have the front, my right foot forward, and the right knee and ankle line up directly. So make sure that happens with your body too, that your knee and ankle line up directly. Okay, we don't want the knee way forward of the ankle. So make sure that they line up. And then with your fingertips on blocks under your shoulders or just on the floor under your shoulders, push away from whatever you're touching with your fingertips and feel your spine lengthen and your hips widen a bit behind you. I have some issues with my knees. I have knee arthritis. So instead of tucking my toes under when I'm in this position, my back leg, I tend to put the top of my foot down. What this does is move the pressure to the top of my shin and off of the bony patella of my knee. So you can try it either way, whichever works for you. Now we did a twist before as we were seated, so let's do one here. Keeping the left fingertips on the floor underneath the left shoulder or on your block, and this is a great time to use a block. Inhale, lengthen the spine. Exhale, turn the chest to the right. So you have your right leg in front, turn the chest to the right, right hand on the right hip. So pushing away from the floor with the left fingertips lightens everything up, as if you don't even need to be touching the floor or touching your block, right? We don't want to jam all our weight down to those little fingertips. So this engages your abdominals a bit. Each exhalation, the belly draws in more. Think about those plates, your shoulder blades on the back body, the left one pressing forward and the right one pressing back. Breathe. If you'd like to reach the right hand up with the palm facing the same direction as your face, you can do that. But not if it rolls that upper shoulder down and forward. Let's open it up if we can, or use the cactus position. Some people do that, as if their palm is facing the ceiling, as if they're holding a tray. I always say a tray of cookies because that's my favorite thing. But it could be a tray of anything you like. You don't want to drop it, right? Keep the heart open. Inhale and exhale. Each exhalation maybe makes the twist feel a little bit more comfortable. Inhale here, and exhale, bring the torso and the fingertips back down. Great job, great job. So what I'd like to do next, especially if you have blocks, this would be a great time to move them to the inside of your front foot, which is your right foot. Maybe you don't, maybe you have a blanket, maybe you have something else you can put your hands on, or maybe you don't need to put your hands on anything. And then I'm going to ask you to walk the right foot out more towards the right edge of the mat, so you have more width between your thighs. So the hands now are inside the front foot, underneath the shoulders, okay? This is a big stretch for the hips. Notice how this feels for you, okay? You can walk your hands out a little bit more to the left if that creates more comfort for you. So maybe you can clear your right thigh with your waist, so you can move your torso so it's not right next to your right thigh. So hands on the floor, right wrist slightly forward to the shoulders. If you want to practice adding a little bit more flexibility, inhale here, exhale, bend the elbows so you lower the torso a little bit, and inhale, press back up. And let's keep the back nice and straight when we do this. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. Beautiful. Inhale here, exhale, lower, inhale, lift, exhale, lower, inhale, lift, exhale, lower, or maybe you're just holding the position, that's fine too. And come on up. Great. Now you're going to walk the hands back, walk that right foot in, and we're going to step this right foot back where it was in the first place. Yay. from the all fours position. So sweep your hips back and forth. You may notice a difference in the right hip versus the left hip. And that's really cool. I think that the most important thing to me about yoga is the residual. So I have taught yoga classes where we did a lot of hip openers, and then I'd make folks just get up and walk around the room and just say hi to their neighbor so they could feel how different their hips feel. And that's the key. So you want to do a little move and say, oh boy, that feels different. That's great. Go ahead and reap some of the benefits of your practice. When you're ready, you're going to draw the belly button in. Inhale and exhale as you step the left foot forward to the left thumb. And again, if you use blocks or books or whatever you have for lunging, that's fine. The front knee and ankle need to line up directly. Don't want that front knee forward of the ankle. Toes face straight forward. So we may be hunched over here, so we push against the block to the floor with the fingertips so we can lengthen the spine and lift the torso just a bit. Feel lengthen through the spine, all the way through the crown of the head. Breathe. So it's as if you can feel you're widening that left hip a bit back behind you. If we'd like to add the twist, and you don't have to, you can stay here if you like. We keep the right hand underneath the right shoulder, or maybe it's on the block, maybe it's way up on the block, which is kind of cool. Inhale, lift the torso a little bit more. Exhale, turn the chest towards that left leg. So try not to lean too hard into the floor or into your block with those right fingertips as you turn your heart. Think about the shoulder blades on the upper back. The right shoulder blade is pressing forward. The left shoulder blade is moving back. You can keep the left hand on the hip, or you can reach the left arm up, fingertips toward the sky. It's completely up to you. What do we do with our head? Well, whether you have your hand on your hip or towards the sky, your heart is facing a certain direction. Yes, your face should be looking in that same direction. And think about the position of your head. Try not to let your jaw or chin be higher than your forehead. So lift the forehead up to be a little bit higher than the chin. You'll find a little more comfort in the neck. Wherever the heart points, that's where the face can look. Breathe. Again, you can do the cactus position here with the bent left elbow, palm facing the ceilings if you're holding a tray. Inhale here, and exhale, bring your hand down. So now we're going to move our hands to the inside of the left foot or left leg, and we're going to walk the left foot out more towards the outer edge of the mat. The knee is still bent and lined up with the ankle on the left leg. So maybe you have your blocks, or maybe your hands are on the floor or on a blanket, and you've walked your hands a little bit further away from the right foot so that your torso, the sides of your waist, clear that front left thigh. You can stay upright in this way, really feeling the big hip stretch. You could come down a little bit by bending the elbows like we practice on the other side. It's completely up to you. Inhaling here, exhaling, bending the elbows. So you're hinging at the hip, inhaling up, and exhaling. So we're not rounding the spine, we're hinging at the hip. This is creating hip flexibility. And we talk about, right, flexibility creates space. And that's what we want. We want more space. As we get more practice in a stretch like this one, we can come closer to the floor as long as we can continue to hinge at the hip and keep the back in a long, lengthened position. But that may take some time and some work, and it's okay to go little bit by little bit, okay? Don't have to push really hard in poses like this because they are very, very big stretches. And then come on back. Woo, awesome. Walk the hands in, walk that front foot in a bit. Inhale and exhale, and we take that front foot back. Whee! Awesome. Notice your hips, sweep them around. Do they feel a little looser? They just might. So that was a great, we did a lot of a benefit for the back of the hips, right? The outer and the back of the hips, the external rotators. But what about the front of the hips from sitting? What about that? That can be really hard to stretch the quadriceps in front of the hips. So let's use our lunge pose again to help us with that, okay? So inhale and exhale, stepping the right foot forward to the right thumb. Use your blocks if you need them, or if you have them, maybe you don't need them, and that's fine. Push away to lengthen. You want to lengthen the spine a little bit. Now what I'm going to ask you to do is to walk your front right foot more forward, a couple inches, 2-3 inches, and then bring that right knee forward over the hip. So now that back knee, that left knee is a little further back. Hands on the blocks or on the floor. So now we want to think about the front of the left hip, okay? So you can even come a little forward. This is going to bring the knee slightly forward of the ankle, and that's okay. Little by little, we take these movements to see how the front of the left hip feels. It's opening, it's opening, it's opening, right? And that's okay whether you have your toes tucked under or your toes down, doesn't matter, but you're feeling the front of the left hip open. And you're taking your time doing that. Move the hands forward. Put your hands in a position where you feel that you're supported, reaching forward, long spine, really feeling the back hip opening up. So gravity is drawing your pelvis down. Your pelvis is a bony ring. It's the heaviest bone in your body. So gravity wants to draw it down. And this is helping us open the front of the left hip. It really is. Keep the waist long. This is a toughie. If you take a type of yoga called yin, you're going to hold these poses for even longer. Inhale here and lift up, lift the belly. Oh, nice. And step that front foot back. Great job. So that may have been a lot for you, okay? And it's okay. Take a minute. Notice how your hips feel once again before we go to the other side, okay? Then we're ready. Let's step the left foot forward to the left thumb. Use your blocks. Knee and ankle line up. Lengthen the torso. And then, again, you're going to walk your front left foot a couple inches forward towards the head of the mat. And then you're going to slide the hips forward so the front knee moves over the front ankle. This opens up this right front hip. So how much you bring your torso forward, how much you bend the left knee over the left ankle, that's up to you. Pressing down through the left heel for support. And you're going to feel the back hip open, this right hip. So if you can breathe and hold, nice long spine. You're going to feel gravity moving that heavy pelvis down. You feel that? And you can resist that a bit because you don't want to go too fast. Little by little, right? You want to titrate. You want to try a little bit, see how it feels. You know, and then decide you want to do more and move more. Move the hands to where you're comfortable. Just take a few more breaths. There's many ways to open the front of the hips. This is a great way to do it. But you need to take your time, be careful, and only do it for as long as you can find comfort. When we're ready, we're going to be able to inhale, and as we exhale, lift the belly up, press the hips back, and step your front foot back. Great job. Very nice. Very good, very good. Move my blocks over the inside. Gorgeous job. So we're talking about flexibility. So we got a little flexibility in the back of the upper arms being in class, got flexibility in the hips, and the front of the hips, and the side waist, okay? And we worked on flexibility of the spine as well. But what about the backs of our legs? What about our hamstrings? What about some of those tight gluteal muscles? Forward bends help us with this. So downward facing dog is one of those. It's one of the easier forward bends, but it may be challenging for us. So let's just practice that a little bit to get the back of the legs open, okay? So from the all fours position, knees underneath the hips, toes tucked under. Again, wrist creases line up at the front edge of your shoulder. Hands or shoulders width apart a little wider. Spread the fingers. Press into the pads of the fingers, index finger and thumb. Good. Now I'd like you to pull your belly button up, almost like cat pose. Pull the belly button up. Toes tucked under. When you're ready, push into the ground and reach your hips up and back to the wall behind you. Inhale, lift the knees up. Exhale, push forward and down. Reach the hips back. Reach the hips back. I know this is challenging. Bend one knee and then the other, little bicycle. So think about the two sides of your back end and imagine they're sitting up on the wall behind you. You're taking a seat up on the wall behind you. Push down and away through the hands so that the elbows straighten. The muscles on the outer sides of your back reach out through your pinkies. They stretch right out through from the outer back to the pinky fingers, pressing down through the base, the index finger and thumb, the pads of the fingers. Bend one knee and then the other. Bend one knee and then the other, so it's a little bicycle. Breathe. Keep the belly button drawn up and in. Give yourself some more stability. I know this is a challenging pose. And then come on, get forward and down, bring the knees down, sit back in extended child's pose. Turn the palms up, give your hands a break, and those can be hard, okay? Take a minute, yep. Sit back with your child's pose, give yourself a break. Find your resting state. And I think that that's challenging for a lot of people. So I congratulate you for taking the time to acknowledge that your body needs rest and to take a resting position. In child's pose, rounding the spine just a bit, tucking the tailbone just a little, let the tailbone be heavy. Relax the head down, either on your hands or your fists or the floor or a block. Whatever works. There's one more thing we can try before we come onto our back to do our final finishing stretches. And that would be downward facing dog on your forearms, which is much easier on the hands and wrists. A little more challenging on the shoulders, however. So you can try it and just see how it feels to do a little bit of it. If it's not something that you're comfortable with, then you don't have to do it, okay? So from the all fours position, we're gonna bring the forearms down, so the elbows are on the floor. So your elbows are underneath the shoulders, kind of like Sphinx pose, you remember, right? Elbows underneath the shoulders. And the palms are down, okay? You have the option here, and some people like it better, to clasp the hands together and to press the pinky sides down into the mat. So if you want to try that, you can definitely try that, or you can keep the hands pressing down, okay? Relax the neck. You don't need to let the head drop, okay, and sink the upper back, right? But you can relax and lengthen through the neck. Now we're going to tuck the toes under, just like we did before. And instead of pushing down through just the hands, we're going to push down and forward through the forearms and through the hands. As we pull the belly button up towards the spine, then lift the knees up and push. You may notice if there's any pain here in the shoulder area, don't do this. Or maybe you notice, oh, I'm going to clasp my hands. I think that would feel better. Come on down and try, okay? So you may find this feels more comfortable for you or less comfortable. You can rest back in child's pose if you had enough, or you can do downward facing dog instead of this dolphin pose. Bend one knee than the other. Breathe. Some folks find this much easier to be able to press through the forearms. You can definitely feel this more in the upper back, so be careful. Now the next inhalation, bring the knees down and relax back into child's pose. Great job. Great job. So again, if you've had shoulder issues, you may find that dolphin pose isn't quite your favorite, and that's okay. You can always do downward facing dog, or extend the child's pose, sitting back and reaching the arms out, pressing down through the hands can work as well. When we're ready, come back to all fours. So now it's time to lie on our backs. We'll do some final stretches and Shavasana. Okay, so working on our flexibility, noticing how you feel as you move. Notice how your body feels as you move from this position to lying on the floor. Okay. When we get ready to lay on the floor, we want to be really careful with how we bring our body down, okay? So knees bent, feet on the floor. We're going to come down into our forearms, and then very gently as we widen the forearms, bring the spine down. And relax. Take a moment. Notice how the floor feels underneath you. And then when you're ready, gently draw one knee and then the other in towards your chest. You can place your hands behind your thighs. You don't have to drag your knees into your face. And make some circles. Circle across the back of the hips. May feel really good to you. One of my favorite things to do. Having had lower back issues for a good part of my life, every morning I do this before I get out of bed. So it's very helpful to me. So there are maybe some things that you've developed in your life that help you feel better as you rise in the morning, or maybe before you go to bed at night, or in the middle of your day. Hopefully we can incorporate some of our yoga into our daily life as well, not just on the mat. And feet down. Let's bring the right knee in towards our chest. Place the hands behind the right thigh. Just extend the right foot up. Circle the ankle in one direction. And then the other. So you just have the left knee bent, left foot on the floor, right foot in the air. Circle, circle, circle. Point flex. So it doesn't matter to me, or maybe it does matter to you how straight you make the knee. You know, maybe you want to make a little straighter knee. You want to really feel some more hamstring length today. Maybe you've been feeling that your hamstrings are tight for whatever reason. You want to extend a little bit more, you know, through that leg. Oof. flex and point the foot. And then bend the knee, place it down. Let's bring the left leg in towards our chest and extend the left foot up. Circle the ankle one direction or the other. Okay. Point flex. And again, you know, if you feel like trying to straighten or maybe straighten the leg a little bit more, you'll notice that it's easier to straighten the knee with the thigh further away from your chest and press through the ball and the heel of the foot if you like. So you don't have to be having your knee all the way in toward your chest and straightening your leg. Of course not. Some people really like to bend the knee and pull it closer to their chest. It feels good to them. Some folks like to extend the leg away from them and straighten more because they want to feel more length in the hamstring. So that's completely up to you. And then bend the knee, release down. So with your knees bent and your feet on the floor, walk your feet as far away from each other as they will go and your knees. Release the arms out. Inhale here. Exhale, bring both knees over to one side. Woo. That's another big stretch to the front of the hip, right? So this is the front of my right hip. I can reach my right arm up. It's really up to me. So it's up to you. You can keep the arms out or you can reach the right arm up. Feel a big stretch to the right side and the front of the right hip. And then inhale, both arms back, knees come up. And exhale the knees over to the other side. Oh. And now it's the front of my left hip that's stretching my left thighs when I reach my left arm up. So this kind of mimics the stretching that we were doing in our lunges, right? This is a much easier stretch to do if you're hanging out at home. And go from side to side. Inhale and exhale. Knees go to one side and the other. And your pelvis rocks from one side to the other. Inhale and exhale. Or you may want to go slower and hold them. That's okay too. It's really up to you. We did a lot of openings for our hips here, which is a wonderful thing. And then we're going to walk those feet in. So with knees bent, feet on the floor, bring your right knee to your chest, cross your right foot and ankle over the top of your left thigh. So this is called, they call this thread the needle pose. I call it number 4 because there's another pose that I call thread the needle. So this one I call number 4. So you're going to bring the right foot over on top of the left thigh, right foot and ankle, spread the toes so the right foot is strong. And then widen the right knee out to the right. That's all. You're going to feel that stretch in there, right? Through the piriformis or some of your external rotators. And this is all there needs to be because this could be really challenging for you, right? If you'd like more of a stretch here, if you're feeling this feels good, but I could stretch more. You can bring the left foot off the floor and placing the hands behind the left thigh. Good, gorgeous. So your left shin is parallel to the ground. So it looks like a number 4. That's what it reminds me of. But you don't have to take that left foot off the floor for this pose. You never do. And you don't have to push the right knee away from your body either with your hands. You can just hold the pose, let gravity do the work. Even if I don't lift the left foot off the floor, I just keep widening the right knee. I definitely feel it. I'm not pushing or pressing too much with my right foot. So it's up to where you're at, how deeply you want to feel the stretch, and how it works for you today. Yeah, stretching through the piriformis is really, really important. Again, your external rotators are very tight, and this muscle doesn't get stretched as much as it could. Then we're going to release this and do the other side. Bring the left knee in, place the left foot and ankle over the top of the right thigh. Widen the right knee out to the right. You don't have to push it. I've seen a lot of, fitness professionals, and it's different for athletes and different from other people. But pushing and pushing, to me, yoga, it's intention. So widen the left knee to the left. You can press the left foot and ankle against the thigh a little bit, the right thigh, spreading the toes, and create a little bit of a push. But no torquing, no pressing, none of that kind of stuff. Just widen. And again, if you feel the stretch, you want to feel more of the stretch, you're used to doing this, take the right foot off the floor and place your hands behind the right thigh. Be mindful, though, to keep the toes spreading and the foot strong. We want to keep the ankle, the knee lined up. Because when your hips are tight, it can skew the ankle joint and the knee joint away from each other. And we don't want to cause any other issues or injuries. So I always keep the foot bright. A yogi once told me, oh, you don't want your feet to be like dead fish. Okay. So think about it that way. Keep your toes a little bit bright when you do yoga postures. It can be very, very helpful, especially with these hip stretches. Just widening the knee out to the side. Doesn't matter if the right foot is off the floor or on the floor. Just keep widening the knee. And then we're ready for Shavasana. Okay, so you can undo this here. You can do whatever you may want to do. You might want to do a twist or draw your knees into your chest or something that your body's craving that feels good to you. That's cool. And then relax in Shavasana. So Shavasana for you could be laying out, just let everything go, right? Toes turn out, everything relaxes. Maybe you don't like to lengthen your legs in that way. You can keep the knees bent, walk the feet away, or just knock the knees in towards each other so you can be a little bit more rest, enjoy a little more constructive rest. And release the arms. How far away should the arms be? Whatever's comfortable for you. If they're stuck way in close to your sides, you're going to feel tension, right? If they're way, way out and up, you may feel a little too vulnerable and open. So just place your arms where naturally it feels comfortable to you. Palms facing the ceiling if that's possible to keep the chest open. So whichever position you take in, find some comfort there. You can put a rolled up blanket underneath the back of your knees if your legs are out. You can put a little pillow under your head. Anything to make you feel more comfortable. And as you lie in your Shavasana, this is what we think of, right? It's a constructive rest pose. So we're not going to fall asleep. We're just going to sink in a little bit to our body so we can notice any sensations. I rotate my head from right to left. So I do a little no, like I'm saying no to somebody. I roll across the back of my skull and then find that center spot where I know that my chin is not higher than my forehead. It's like there's a flat spot in the back of my skull that just kind of sits on the floor. You can close your eyes. And if you have issues with tension and stress, if you like, on the next inhalation, squeeze your muscles, all of them. Your jaw, your face, your shoulders, your arms, your back, and then on the next exhale, let it go. Doing that a few times can be very, very helpful if you have chronic stress. And even if you do it like only a certain body part, like say for instance, you take the inhale and squeeze your shoulders, and then exhale, soften them away. So maybe there's a body part you'd like to relax a little bit more deeply. On the next inhalation, engage the muscles, squeeze a little bit. Then on the next exhale, completely let go against the support of the ground underneath you. Let your eyes soften, and your eye sockets, everything softens, the jaw relaxes. The tongue falls away from the roof of your mouth. Your ears soften. Feel your collarbones spread across the front of your chest. Notice the weight of your back against the floor, the scapula, the shoulder blades, lying flat against the earth. The lightness and softness of the elbow joints and the fingers. Just a little flexion of the elbow and the fingers. Softness of the belly. The heavy hips and thighs. Almost feel little pillows of air behind the knee joint. Almost as if the breath and the air flows across the front of the thighs, over the knees, down the shins, into the well of the ankle, across the top of the foot. The ground underneath you gently cupping the heels. And the calves soften. Smooth and heavy in the back of the hips. The lower back slightly lifted, unlike your shoulder blades, which flatten against the earth. You feel and curve the lower back just a little bit. Each inhale and exhale now feels like you're lifting to the front body and lowering down to the back body. At the same time, Inhale, feel lifting and lowering. Exhale, lifting and lowering. And naturally move down to rise up. You can stay in your Shavasana for as long as you like. Just because a Zoom class is over, the yoga class is over, you're at home. And you can stay where you are for as long as you like. So remain in Shavasana for as long as you like. And when you're ready, then make sure that you roll over onto your side with your knees bent before you help yourself up to seated, okay? So I recommend the longest Shavasana that you can do, okay? And just stay there for the next 10, 15 minutes. Shavasana is so beneficial. Feel how relaxed the body is. Practice just Shavasana as often as you can. Thank you for sharing your time with me to create a little bit more flexibility in your body, hopefully in your mind, maybe a little bit in your heart. When you join me for yoga practice, whether it's through Zoom or in person, however it is, I honor the divine teacher within you. May we all find peace, no matter what we are given. Namaste. Thank you, Louise.
Thank you, Julie. Can't hear you.